my name is Genita M. I'm the medical director and founder of the Biosanctuary, and now Hill Country 03 Spa. They're actually opening a walk-in clinic, which I haven't done in 20 years of being in practice. And I want to impress upon you that what I'm telling you today, this is not medical urban legend. This is not Google, Dr. Google information. This is real information. This is a medical model and how I approach treating everything from Parkinson's, cancer, weight loss, everything, okay? It's a fundamental medical model. It's actually won 2 awards. And it's aggressive, but it gets the job done. And so this is real information. If you do what I'm telling, if you address what I'm telling you to address, you will succeed in any health goal that you have. You know, there is an 11th hour. You know, I do get phone calls. There's an 11th hour where the body simply is too sick and too damaged to actually get through the detoxification process. It's just because that's hard. You know, the first, right, Melody? The first 4 or 5 days, because it's so aggressive. I do try and take those people with, I do not provide false hope, but what we do in those cases is try and elongate the treatment, you know, method cycle, you know, the time that we do, the timing that we do everything, but not everybody that calls me has that time. So that's what we call the 11th hour. But the body is fully capable of regenerating itself and renewing itself in the right environment, the right biochemical environment. Everybody's got cancer cells in them. It's only a biochemistry that's friendly to cancer that develops it, okay? So given the right environment, every organ of your body will renew itself, including the brain. You know, 20 years ago in biochemistry, we were told that you know, you don't, you know, brain cells don't come back, and that's untrue. We've proven that the brain can renew itself, and octogenarians even. So I'm going to get started because I'm going to try and squeeze a full day lecture into an hour here, and then I'll take questions, okay? I'm going to go fairly fast. I speak fairly fast anyway, so just try and plug in and stick with me, okay? And I am going to post the lecture on my newsletter tonight, a link to it, so you'll have it to review and such, okay? So don't get overwhelmed there. Too much information. Okay, so these are the 7 fundamental causes of all disease and metabolic conditions, including weight, okay? And by the way, I want to mention, you know, I'm 61 years old. When I was growing up, we never heard the word cancer. We never heard the word depression. You know, it's just, and now these things are epidemic, even down to like mold infections. You don't think that the settlers had mold issues? But they weren't getting mold infections because the immune system was strong enough to abate it, right? But today, everybody's getting mold infections. By the way, the 2 big sources are actually coffee and wine. For the you know, not just, you know, black mold in the house. So anyway, I'm going to get started. So the 7 topics, you know, the progenitors of disease, and they all are interchanged. You know, they all affect each other. Okay, there's nothing in the body that doesn't affect the whole body. Okay, and mind. And so that's dehydration, malnutrition, low transmembrane voltage, inflammation, low oxygen and hydrogen, toxic upper and lower intestines, meaning the colon, and oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, I don't even know why I put that last because it should be at the top of the list, except that my 2 pet peeves, and nobody takes it serious enough. In fact, I just had a fine gentleman from Houston pass away from constipation because he developed colon cancer, which you will, and then it metastasized to his liver because it will, because once the colon is impacted, the liver cannot dump into the intestine, so it gets backed up. So everything, all those toxins that the liver that has metabolized, in fact, that are more toxic, more times than not, than the original toxin, sit there and eat up the liver and cause cancer of the liver. So, and he was seriously constipated for a long time. So, anyway, he came in. He was actually a father of a dear friend of mine here in Houston. He came in like literally passed away about 3 weeks. We got him pooping, but he literally, unfortunately, passed away 3 weeks later because it was too late. So constipation is a pet peeve of mine because, and that's toxic upper and lower intestines. The lower intestine is the colon. Because, see, people don't understand, or even if you're not eliminating properly, like 2 or 3 times a day, okay? Because you're literally, the food and ancient food is rotting like landfill in your gut. It causes what we call endotoxins, internally made biotoxins. Many of them are lipopolysaccharides. But there's, and also like with the GMO products that people are eating, those turn into unknown bacteria, right? Bacteria species that are new to the human frame because GMOs just came into our food system in the late 80s. So anyway, but those toxins, there's three arteries, actually, 2 arteries that wrap around the colon for a reason. They're there to soak up water, and in that water are the short chain fatty acids, which are a byproduct of fermentation, which the colon is not just a poop chute. The colon is another digestive organ. It's a digestive organ. It digests inulins and resistant starches, okay? In fact, you know that your colon's not well if you eat and then you're hungry in an hour and a half or an hour, which everybody is these days because most everybody has a no good colon. And the reason for that is that the colon is your backup, your reserve energy tank. Because by the time the inulins and resistant starches get down there, it's about an hour and a half, and then you derive energy from the short chain fatty acids. Also, one of those is butyrate. One of those short chain fatty acids is butyrate, and very famous, very fine, very good doctor, Dr. Brzezinski, right here in Houston. Well, very well known for his cancer successes, and has been brought to the Supreme Court twice for healing and curing people outside of standards of care, right? No worries. And the information doesn't change till I came in. Anyway, he uses phenylbutyrate. Butyrate is a natural cancer killer. It prevents cancer. So if your colon's not working right, you're not getting one of the prime cancer killers going on in your body. So, but anyway, so the colon, the digestive process in the colon, when it's right, actually keeps your energy levels nice and steady. It doesn't, you won't get the signals to the brain to eat again because your brain, if it goes so low on energy, it'll send out the signals for the hormones and create the hunger hormone, right? So, so colon health, and then dehydration. I forgot to bring the pictures of before and after pictures of a live blood cell analysis of before and after I alkalized the patient that came in. When you're dehydrated, so anyway, but to finish on the colon, because I really want to impress this, okay? Colon health is key to a long life and a long healthy life. Those toxins are recirculating in your body and your brain 24/7 every day of your life. Okay, the toxins that are sitting in your colon go right into your blood system all day long and night. Okay, so that's a huge source of oxidative stress. All right, and oxidative stress has everything to do. It's a fundamental cause of disease. Is oxidative stress. All right. My other pet peeve is dehydration. You are 70s, and also the quality of your water. Nobody here, I know it, I can say this with full confidence, nobody here is drinking the right water. Okay? Just thought I'd let you know that. Okay? You've been spending a ton of money on bottled water or acidic, horribly deficient, mineral deficient RO water. So dehydration, under the scope, dehydration looks, your red blood cells are in clumps, okay? Just stacked on top of each other, all right? Also that it has to do with pH, acidic and dehydration. And so what happens when you see it, it's so easy to see that only like 20% of the red blood cell, 20% of the real estate of the red blood cell is exposed to the plasma, to the blood, to the plasma, to the organs to do its job of hydrating tissue, delivering nutrients, and taking nutrients away, right? And a properly hydrated and pH corrected person The little red blood cells are all separated in the plasma with, 100% of their real estate, ready to do the work that your red blood cells are supposed to do. Deliver oxygen and nutrients and take toxicities away. So bottled water is one of the biggest farces ever. In fact, I remember I was like 10 years old, so it had been like 50 years ago. I saw the first water for sale machine and I laughed. I'm like, who's going to buy water? I remember thinking that. Now everybody buys water, but it's not really water because it doesn't hydrate you. Water is supposed to hydrate you, and if you're not hydrating, you're not going to make those little happy cells. Oh, and another thing about dehydration, when your red blood cells travel in clumps like that, guess what? Your brain, the heart has to work extra hard to get good blood flow into the brain. The brain, and this is why people, one of the biggest reasons why everybody's developing brain fog now. It's like common. And so what's happening is, so you're dehydrated, so you're not getting a whole lot of action going on in there anyway, but when the red blood cells are traveling in clumps, they can't get into the finer areas of the brain. The finer areas of the brain are literally fed by capillary systems, like very small capillaries, not even veins. So that's why, the brain starts starving of blood, which means that the brain tissue is going to die faster. Oxidative stress builds up faster, and you're not dehydrating, you're not pulling toxins out. When you look at the blood, and you can look at the brain tissue of people with like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, it looks like a landfill in there. Their brain tissue looks like landfill. Everything is it just looks like a bunch of non-identifiable tissue. It's just horrible, And that's because the brain is being eaten alive. And you add to that all the oxidative stress like pesticides. Pesticides are neurotoxic. People eat things and they do it anyway because even though it's got tons of pesticides on it and this and that, because it's invisible, it's not a big fire-breathing dragon chasing you, right? I just so happen to have the luxury, I guess, the hard-earned luxury of being a biochemist. I haven't been able to put that stuff in my body since I was a kid. I've always been like this, but I have a full movie that goes by in my mind when, I look at, crap food, food, it's not food, People think food is anything you can eat that doesn't kill you in 5 minutes. That's not food. Food is supposed to provide nutrition, okay? And so, neurotoxicity, that directly kills the brain. There's oxidative stress, even, personal hygiene. There's lead in eyeliner unless it's organic. There's lead in Visine. There's lead in nose spray. They use lead to stabilize things, okay? So, and forget about it. If you're on any kind of big pharma drug, choose your mood drug. I don't care what it is, depression, anything. In my view, everybody has the right to be depressed these days. But just don't take my humanity away from me. But, I'm not depressed, but I'm definitely, I just figured out how a formula turned depression into being pissed off. But, but anyway, so what you need to do with your water, and everyone, you can go to Brighteon.com. I started moving off of YouTube because it's only a matter of time. They've already taken me off of every, electronic payment system because I was selling blood COVID tests to people privately. And they don't want that. They want you in the system. They want to, swab you and inject you. So they want to get you into that office so they can coerce you. But if you go, so I started moving over to the Brighteon.com. I am on YouTube, but I like sending people to Brighteon.com instead. It's Mike Adams, the Health Rangers YouTube platform. And Bright, as in shiny, bright, and then EON.
Okay, thanks.
.com. And just plug in my name, Genita Mason, and there's about 22 videos. There's how to reconstitute your water. So what you want to do, not even RO, I don't like RO. I have people with these $10,000 RO home systems, and I do toxic metal tests on them, and they're all organic, they're passionately healthy, and they've got problems. So, I don't know, you gotta change your filters. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Berkey. Berkey.
I have two.
Yeah, yay. Berkey is so good. They don't even allow Berkey in California. But anyway, so you filter your water, but you're starting out with tap water. And by the way, on Mike Adams, and he's actually in Austin, the health ranger. I have lab envy. He spectromographer. He has a full lab, $1 million lab, yeah. And he tests everything. I mean, actually, you can send whatever you want. But about a year ago, he did all of the common water filters, all of them. He tested, and Berkey and Zero were the only two that came out 100%, filtering everything. Everything else was from 39% to 89%. You don't want any percent of this nasty stuff that's in water these days. Nothing. So anyway, Berkey gets it all out. But the thing is we're starting with a deficient water that doesn't even have the minerals it should have in the God and nature balance. Not any doctor, no scientist, you put all their brains together that have ever lived and never will live, and they cannot improve on God and nature. You just can't. In fact, we're in this horrible problem that we're in because man and women try and improve on God and nature, right? Oh, here's a pill for this, a pill for that. No, it doesn't work that way, you know? So the perfect balance of electrolytes that's supposed to be in your water, and we know that like ancient river water, which we evolved on, not glacier water. Glacier water is dead too. Ancient river water, you know, it has all the minerals from flowing down the rocks and the soil and, you know, touching plants and this and that. It was about 1,500 TDS. It's total dissolved solids. You can actually get a TDS meter, but you don't need to if you follow my formula on Brighteon. So what you do is you get a big rock of Himalayan salt, one of the big rocks, and you put it in a glass jar with a plastic lid, otherwise it'll rust, and you make brine, okay? Now the Himalayas dried up 250 years ago, okay? So untouched, unadulterated, made by God and nature, and we haven't destroyed it, you know? All other ocean water and everything today is destroyed. It's so sad what we have done to this planet, but if the water is the common denominator of the planet, you know, and it's destroyed. And I mean, you all know about the garbage patches, the oil, you know, the garbage patch in the Pacific the size of Texas. It's horrific. So, and then the oil spills and the radiation, and it's just, and then, you know, all of the filth, you know, from the mainlands that go into it, it's destroyed. And aquatic life is dying very fast from the algae on up. So, and by the way, folks, we're on the food chain. You know, that's why we're suffering. You know, humans are suffering a lot now. All this suffering and all these diseases is, you know, the food chain is coming to get us. You know, we're starting to break down. So, anyway, so you filter your water. Now you have nice, clean water, but it's minerally deficient. And you need those electrolytes in the proper, made by God and nature, balance. It's called a difference of potential, positive, negative, right? So when when red blood cells and tissue are in the presence of this water, it actually opens the ion gates to get the water into the cell. If the ion gates won't open because of bad fats, because of the electrolytes, you know, aren't in the right balance to open up, you're not hydrated. Water is floating around in your plasma until you pee it out. You're not hydrating. Everybody that comes in, I don't even do live blood cell analysis anymore because it's a constant. I don't need to. It's a waste of time now. Everybody's the same. They come in, they're just sold that they're drinking the best water, and they're all dehydrated, you know? So anyway, I made a formula. You can watch the video. For 1,500 TDS made by God and nature minerals, okay? And you know, my patients love it. It's energy, you know. Minerals are conduits, okay? In engineering, electronics, a conduit is what completes a circuit from, you know, so electrons can flow, okay? And pH is per hydrogen molecule, and a hydrogen molecule is an electron donor, so that means more energy. So you need to be pH correct, which your oxygen uptake will go up 20% from acidic to pH correct. So you're getting oxygen and you're getting hydration, just by drinking the right water. Okay, you need those minerals for energy, you know, for the body to do its work and to hydrate, to get the toxic stuff out of the cells, and for all the other, of course, structural things that minerals do. So 2 pet peeves again: proper colon health and hydration. Big time, big. Now I'm going to hit diet real quick. And I say real quick because, of course, we know no diets work. They just don't, okay? That's why there's a different diet every 3 months. There's a different book, there's a different diet, everybody's got their spin on things. And the reason why people have their spin on things and nothing works is because, well, for a few factors. One, they're working on the eating 3 times a day and snacking. So what they're trying to do is move food groups around to you know, accommodate that way of eating, and that's not how you're supposed to eat. In fact, snacking is off the table, period. All right? What happens when you snack? One, you're going to be tired all the time because it takes an enormous amount of energy for the body to digest, and the people who snack are digesting all day long. So what happens when you eat? Your body first literally absorbs the simple carbs, okay? Then it starts digesting complex carbs, then it goes for proteins, and then fats, right? When you snack, you know, it takes a good hour and a half, 2 hours for the body to start breaking down fat, okay, to go into ketosis and start breaking down fat for energy, right? And a lot of people's bodies simply aren't even dialed in to do that properly because they never give the body a chance to do that. So what happens when you snack before the body has digested the fat that you ate in the previous meal, it stops trying to digest the fat, you go out of ketosis, and then because the body's got an easier way, an easier fuel, right, in carbohydrates. You don't snack. You'll find that your energy will improve tremendously just by stopping this all day long, snacking, okay? No, also, well, and so then, here's how you eat properly. And I don't like, ketosis is good only for one thing. I mean, a ketogenic diet, and that's to clean everything out. Put yourself on a 30-day ketosis program, ketogenic program, and that's to clean everything out to start anew, right? While you're putting good, healthy microbes like colostrum from the Amish farms, not anything you get in Whole Foods, and start repopulating your gut properly, right? But the reason why the ketogenic diet is no good is because it's based on fat and protein, of which there's no probiotic. Where's your immune? How are you supposed to have a healthy immune system if you don't have healthy probiotics going in the way of produce and fruits and vegetables? God didn't make all this pretty good tasting fruit and vegetables that on these trees, you know, you can spot, early man could spot miles away and go get it, you know, a lot easier than, you know, killing something too, and they're not, something wasn't always available to kill. So anyway, produce is key to our healthy immune system, okay? Here's how you eat, and you can eat anything you want, organic. You can eat, and you want to have a lot of fats. Fats are good for hormone production, by the way. In fact, I remember watching all this stuff, you know, in the late 70s when doctors started telling women, oh, stop eating fat, that's why you're getting fat. No, it was sugar. And then depression skyrocketed, right? Because, and also like, you know, menopause, I never had a change of life. I just stopped having my period, you know, because I eat right, okay? So if you don't eat enough fats, you're not going to have good hormone production. So anyway, so how you eat. You eat 2 meals daily to satiety. You see, we weren't made for deprivation. You know, abundance, it's in the book. Abundance. You know, we're made for abundance, the glory, right? We're made for abundance. Whenever, you know, the pendulum swings with equal intensity in both directions. It's human nature. You can't get around it, you know? So here you put yourself on a diet, and you're already on a diet, so that's deprivation right there. You can't even really look forward to, except that you're hungry, but you really can't, as far as the satiety factor, you can't look forward to a meal because you're trying to make, you know, use smaller plates, eat less, and this and that. It's crazy. So, So anyway, you know, food is our first drug, you know, and it's easy to justify eating it because we need it. So what you want is a colorful plate, all the things that you like, and eat to satiety, all right? Organic, all I say is organic, because otherwise you're just poisoning your body and things are going to not go well. Especially if you want longevity and a lot of energy, and treat your body like a temple that it is. And make sure like your morning, your fruits and whatnot, and also if you want to put yourself on a health program, you need, I do not eat except occasionally, and one of those occasions is when I'm in Houston, because the owners of Bolo is a friend of mine, and so I go there. And but there, I went through tooth and nail with them. After working with me, their veggies are almost all organic, and the crust is actually from Italy, so we know it's non-GMO, because I will not touch a GMO. So they're very proud, you know, Italians are very proud about, you know, their pizza crust, so they use the Primo one, so on. So it's good stuff. But anyway, no dairy, no grain, no sugar, no exceptions. No exceptions, and that means honey, that means all of it for a long time. A long time. All grain is bad for you nowadays, except two of them. Einkorn, because it's non-hybridized, and heirloom, patented heirloom organic rice. Grains are no good for you anymore, all of them, because most of them are crossbred with GMO now, because DNA does share between, but they're all growing mold and fungus and such now, because they lost their, you know, hybridized products like that, they lose their immune system, you know, and also the monocropping, even organic, because monocropping, the nutrients go down and they lose their immune system, because the immune system's so busy protecting the plant from its environment. So so anyway, grains are the #1 cause of inflammation. And inflammation. Is
quinoa a grain?
Pardon me?
Quinoa.
Quinoa is actually a seed.
A seed.
Yeah, it's got a lot of starch in it though, so you don't want to eat that while you're fixing your colon. You know, believe me, until my daughter became a famous, you know, sports performance high profile chef, all organic, and also got boxers we all know, professional boxers, off grain, because it's all carb load before a fight. Our boxers now, Andre Berto, David, Shakur Stevenson, Andre Ward, they don't eat grain at all. There you can watch them in the ring, man. Their energy is just the way it started on round 1. At round 10, they're solid still, and they're nice and cut too. They don't have that carb bloat. So, but you've lost all your carb bloat.
It's just dissolving.
I know.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Your face, everything. Yeah.
Oh, she looks so much better.
It's
yeah, it works, huh? No diet.
It works.
No diet.
No diet. Yeah.
So
And it's hard because it's everywhere. The sugar's everywhere, the grains, the dairy is in everything.
Mm-hmm.
The toxic load is incredible. You can't get away from it.
Right, it's everywhere. And that's why people are dying of epidemic diseases today that we never heard of 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And also the quality of life has just hit rock bottom, you know? You're hobbling to a grave now instead of, you know, going off the bridge. It happened immediately.
You gotta get the clean water, you gotta get your water filtered, you get the fluoride out and the chlorine out and
everything.
And then reconstitute it. It's not hard to reconstitute your water.
And it will taste funny. It will taste funny for the first few days because, until you top off, because you're minerally deficient. So you'll taste the minerals actually, because you're minerally deficient. But you'll notice a big difference in energy. And you know, Dr. Linus Pauling, and 77% of your body is water, so just think how important the right water is for your health, right? If your water is minerally deficient, you are minerally deficient, okay?
So the I'm sorry to ask a question.
Go ahead.
I should
No, I don't want.
Okay, so the low transmembrane voltage, because of the water, the lack of minerals in the water, is everything, I'm just reading the notes.
Minerals
It's part of
create energy.
dehydration.
Because they're conduits, you know,
Yeah.
they're so positive, negative charges throughout the body the electrons get to flow, you know.
Right, so the Himalayan salts, making the brine, okay.
Yep.
Because I was suffering from dehydration before I came to see you, so,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah, yeah, people are drinking tons of very expensive water, and you actually save money. You know, so, I mean, I know money is a factor, but when it comes to your health, like I always said, you know, I drive, you know, I mean, literally, you know, when I do the big venue lectures, I used to do a lot more of, you know, before I started, you know, with the clinic. You know, people would drive up in Lexuses and Porsches, you know, in Santa Monica for my lectures, and because I look at the parking lot, you know, and then the minute I raise the word organic, man, it's so expensive. No, it's not. You know, people just look ISO like a per cucumber, right? But when you look at, okay, I'm eating right, I'm not snacking, I'm not going to Starbucks, and they don't mind dishing out $3.50, $4 for a coffee, but whoa, the word organic. But no, you actually save money, and that's been proven. It's been proven. When you eat right, 2 satiety, 2 meals a day, no snacking, you actually save money eating organic. And you just feel good. You know, I don't understand people sometimes, you know, like, you only get one pass at this, you know, at this life, you know. And people, just because something, maybe the learning curve, you know, doing things right, there's a learning curve. You got to make changes, you got to study a little bit, you got to get into a new organized, you know, thing. And there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I'll tell you what, I spend less time than people do waiting in a Jack-in-the-Box line on my health daily. And you know, I plan on having this vitality to 120. You know, that's just the way I plan it out. So, so far so good. You know, I bike ride 8 miles every morning, most every morning, unless either that or I'm kayaking for upper body. Do my weights. So, and I do it happily. You know, I love being active. You know, and you know, definitely doing the right thing for my body is a priority. It's a priority in everything that I do. It comes first because it determines my quality of life. It determines my perceptions. It determines my attitude. Everything. You know. So anyway, so we have that. So diet, you know, really just and you don't eat 3 hours before going to bed. You can have bone broth. Bone broth, no carbs. You can't have carbs before going to bed. The worst oxidative stress, and by the way, high carb intake is directly related to early mortality. The more you eat, the earlier you die. I mean, just by default, if you eat too much, which everybody does, you know, everybody, including myself, could eat 20% less. So there goes your, you know, toxic food budget right there, you know, like if everybody just ate 20% less in organic, they'd be saving a ton of money. I mean, even healthy people, you know, we could do that and live longer and have more energy. But anyway, 3 hours before bed, because unused carbohydrates cause an enormous amount of oxidative stress. Like people with joint pain and autoimmune issues and this and that, it's always worse in the morning. You know, they're creaking up when they're waking up and achy and this and that. That's because of the oxidative stress. Those bugs in your gut, they just grow. That's all they do. That, you know, the unused carbs just feed the gut the bad bacteria, and they poop out lipopolysaccharides all night long, which are internally made biotoxins, and that causes, you know, that joint stiffness and everything. So inflammation. And by the way, inflammation is very important these days because of the COVID factor, right? I'm not concerned about COVID, never have been. I don't have inflammation issues at all. I don't eat grain, I don't eat dairy. When your gut is healthy, colostrum, you want to get colostrum, raw, fresh colostrum from Amish farms, first pass to rebuild your gut. But once you're healthy and all, then raw, fresh, properly cultured kefir and yogurt from the Amish farms. Miller's Organic Farm is that farm I'm referring to. lovely people. They're organic. If they were to put the organic label on their products, it would actually diminish their image, because the Amish go by God in nature. That is their label, God in nature. And because even with the organic, you know, there's so many things that you can do to cheat, and it's bad for you, you know. So they farm traditionally and have since the beginning. Their farming methods are as old as the dirt that they farm in, you know. And
Why is colostrum so good for the gut?
well, you know, think about it. It's got all the IGF factors, human growth hormone. It's got all the healthy probiota. It's, you know, the reason why nature makes mammals produce colostrum, including women, as soon as they give birth, is you're taking a perfectly healthy baby, hopefully, a perfectly healthy baby, and delivering it from a very sterile environment into an environment with all kinds of viruses and bacteria, you know, everywhere, in the air, everywhere. And so we make the colostrum first to immediately get the immune system going, to populate the gut and get the immune system going. But yeah, it's a complete food, but it's the perfect medicine. That and the Jub's mud, because it's soil based. It's the perfect medicine for the gut, for rebuilding the microbiome, as raw first pass colostrum, just the way nature intended how to populate a gut.
How do they,
Go ahead.
how do they make or get that? From humans?
Cows. Well, you know, and I can, you know, I had a client about 4 or 5 years ago, a top 5 supermodel, and her A-list doctors in LA, celebrity nearly killed her. Nearly killed her. They had 8 years with her, and they sterilized. She had a really bad mold infection. And during the process of IV antibiotics, oral antibiotics, all the stuff that they sterilized her gut. And she could only eat like 3 foods. She could barely even get into the clinic. Her boyfriend had to help her up one step. And anyway, so as you know, we were getting rid of that with, you know, the treatment side. She had to do 2 treatment cycles. She was literally probably close to her deathbed, or wanting to be. And her gut issue was so serious. I mean, she couldn't digest anything. She had literally had 3 foods. One of them was avocado, but otherwise she just explode, be in pain, everything. So anyway, we actually for her looked up a women's colostrum bank, because I said we need to start from scratch, like with you. You know, your gut is sterile. And so we actually, because you know, there's women that give birth and then unfortunately their baby will die, and so they'll milk, you know, their colostrum, so that, you know, another woman that maybe can't give can't breastfeed, they'll get, you know. So there's a bank, there's a women's bank where you can do it. But unless, you know, that's dire straits, you know. It's kind of funny. I'm pretty organic. Seriously, my daughter says I like things that taste like dirt. But the idea of drinking a woman's breast milk, I go for the cows.
Yeah. So the bison, they have bison, or it's bison on the
No, well,
base.
you know, they say the cows, as far as mammals go, are the closest
Okay.
to humans. So
Because
it's like a
on
perfect food for us.
Miller's Organic Farm, they do
Yeah.
bison colostrum as well as cow.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do cow because they're the closest genetically to us. So their colostrum would be most familiar to us.
How do you eat that?
I would even do.
You don't eat
colon-
it, you drink it like a shot.
Because I've had 4 babies. It's
Yeah.
like yellow sticky stuff.
Yeah, no,
It's good for you.
she loves them.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I would even do, you know, if you think you got a sick gut, once you get off the dairy, grain, and sugar, so you're not just chasing the dragon, meaning circles with a health program. I would even do inserts, you know, rectal inserts, like 60 cc's, and bicycle in the air and let it absorb into the tissues of the colon. Yeah.
Yeah, people's guts are a mess. They're a
Pardon me?
mess. The gut, the
Oh.
whole,
It's 35 feet of your problem. It's the first 35 feet of your problem, the gut. Without gut health, you can't hope to fix anything, you know, for good. for good. It starts with the gut. You know, diet and lifestyle is the #1 cause of health or disease today. It's diet and lifestyle. Even all these mental health issues, the neurosurgeons I know, they all agree that about 3% of human beings today in the U.S. actually have a brain anomaly that causes mental health issues, like schizophrenia or something like that. And you know it at birth or within 3 years because of developmental issues, okay? The rest of this nonsense, with all these drugs out there, the rest of this nonsense is all diet, lifestyle. Allergies, stress can cause a person to hallucinate. Oxidative stress can cause a person to hallucinate. Dr. Abram Hoffer was the king of that treatment approach, and proved it.
Abram Hoffer.
Abram Hoffer, yeah, A-B-R-A-M Hoffer. He wrote the foreword to my book.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, any questions on diet? It's pretty simple.
What about eggs?
Eggs cause mucus. You can't have them while you're healing, but once in a while after. Here in Texas, I don't know shirt tail. I use shirt tail. I don't eat them all the time because they do cause mucus. And oh, by the way, also cultured butters, you know, like Miller's Organic Farm, the culture, they old school, they culture their butter. The kefir you can have later on because that's actually good for you. Some of the oldest living cultures drink kefir, kefir, and yogurt. But that's later on after you fix your gut. Otherwise, it's just too much monkey muck. What was there? I was going to circle back to something, but any questions? Any other questions about diet?
When you say eat 2 times a day, are there optimum times? Because I have a night eating thing.
Everybody's schedule is different.
Okay.
You adjust. The meals should be about at least 4 hours apart during the day, but everybody's schedule is different.
Okay.
By workout and no carbs. No carbs. You can have a little, and by the way, when you eat like that, you're eating think about it. You're eating your fruits and vegetables to satiety, all the ones that you like, right? You're eating them, but you will be in ketosis because you're eating 2 times a day and you're allowing the natural cleansing wave. Your gut's going to be clean after about 3 hours. Your gut's nice and clean overnight. It's like 17 hours, 16 hours, So you're clean, 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 clean. You need to experience daily that natural cleansing wave because the body will go after all the garbage you just ingested, right? And also your pancreas gets a rest so it can build up enzymes for the next meal so you digest even better. It's all the beauty, all the fun is in eating right. That's why none of these diets work. They don't teach people how to eat right, okay? Pesticides actually cause weight gain. They disrupt the gut, they kill the healthy bacteria. Anything that kills healthy bacteria is going to kill the microbiome, right? Antibiotics, over-the-counter drugs. All of it, tap water, incorrect water, bottled water. Tell me, where is there clean water? Where's the spring water that's clean? It isn't, doesn't get agricultural runoff, doesn't get chemtrail, doesn't get agricultural factory poisoning. Where's this clean spring? They're getting this beautiful water from. I don't think so. I would actually filter. In fact, during the freeze with my Berkeys, because I had some, that good old Texas bottled water, I filtered it in my Berkey. I poured it in my Berkey.
Yeah.
Is that the Berkey that you have, that big stainless?
Yeah, the one at the farm
Yeah.
and the one at my house.
And
Yes.
it's a filter, it's not a type of water or whatever I don't.
You use tap water and
Okay.
filter. And you gotta fill them up.
Through
Fill
gravity.
up all the filters and you only have to change them once a year. So it's about $200 once a year for the filters. No more bottled water. I bring my Berkey, I got the hotel room down the street here, and I bring my Berkey water. In fact, there's a little travel Berkey too, which I consistently leave in hotel rooms.
They appreciate it. They're happy.
Right? You probably don't know what it is. But anyway, so
So what about,
My glasses.
you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. What about your meat? Do you ever eat meat?
When my daughter's cooking, I was a vegetarian, you know, as far as like the grain thing goes, wraps, vegetarians, you know, sandwiches, wraps, you know, I never thought I could eat, you know, have, you know, go without grain. And now I don't miss it at all, you know. I do because I'm healthy, so I have this license. I'm not, you know, kicking off a healing event or getting healthy. Like maybe once a month, every 2 months, I go through 3 days of making einkorn pancakes.
What is that?
That's my cycle. But then I, you know, and then I can fit, because I use maple syrup, lather it in butter, and, you know, but that's it. But after 3 days, I'm like, okay, because then I can start feeling it, you know.
It's a, iron corn is a, product.
It's a non-hybridized wheat. It's the only grain now that's not hybridized.
How do you spell it?
Einkorn.
I am cold.
Einkorn. Einkorn.
Oh, well.
So, yes, you eat meat, Mom. You eat.
Yeah. Because I was a vegetarian for so long, it's not something I seek out, but my daughter is big on it, and she grew up eating, she eats kangaroo, anyway, we were in Australia, she was eating kangaroo, I'm like, you know you're eating a marsupial right now. She's like, yeah, and it's really good, Mom. But, you know, and I wasn't a vegetarian because it's just, I liked it, you know, it's just, and also I just, and nothing spiritual, nothing like that. I look at everything as energy, and I just don't think bad people should eat meat. I think that there should be a godly rule that bad people, because then you're hijacking a beautiful animal to do bad things on the planet, right? That animal would never do. You're transferring that animal's energy to doing bad things that animal probably does not appreciate, using its energy for that. But good people, see, this is the human elitist that I am, but good people, when we eat meat, we do good things for people, so that it's kind of like an energy upgrade. But no, I just had just like a natural sort of aversion to it, you know, like the veins in chicken and the gristle in ham, and you know, every time I eat a burger, I could see the little cow's big, you know, eyelashes, you know. But when my daughter's cooking, whoo, get out of the way.
So you're not a vegetarian anymore?
No, I eat when she's cooking.
What about fish?
Sorry.
Sorry.
I love fish. Fish is good. You gotta stay away from big fish. Of course, because of the mercury. But you can go online and look up, you know, it's the smaller fish that have the lesser mercury. No farm fish. You know, they're teaching fish how to eat soy and corn now. It's just the whole reason why fish is good for you is because the fish eat algae, and it's the algae that makes the fish, you know, gives it the omegas and all the good stuff, all the nutrients that make fish good for you. Yeah, that's pretty nasty, this farming thing. Fish farming. Anyway, what did I do with my glasses? They're so weird. Oh, probably put them in a pocket.
So
I have an aversion to wearing glasses too.
I know that oxidative stress is a big term, but what is it and how does it work?
Okay.
And how does it accumulate? I know Benjamin, who's joined us on Zoom, had some questions about oxidative stress. I don't know if he wants to type them in or if he can hear us. So.
Okay, well, I'll give the blanket explanation of oxidative stress, and then Benjamin can ask, or anybody can ask whatever questions for more detail. Very simple. Everything in life is yin and yang. It's about balance. In fact, the scientific word for health is homeostasis. Okay, balance, to be as balanced as possible. So when it comes to oxidative stress, what that means is that what the word toxin refers to is an electron stealer. Okay, the body is energy. All right, call it spiritual energy, call it whatever kind of energy you want, but the body is energy. So the more the energy can flow unobstructed and well, the healthier you're going to be. Okay, so And you can see it in people. People that, are healthy, they have a glow. You can see it. You can see it. You can see it in their eyes. So an antioxidant, like the good stuff, vitamins, minerals, all these good things, and vitamin C and hydrogen, they are electron donors. So they add, so when an electron stealer, when an oxidator comes in and steals an electron, you got enough vitamin C or electron donors in you, like hydrogen, then it will donate electron to stabilize that cell again, okay? To restabilize it. That's all that is. So what's happening, it steals so many electrons from a cell, the cell dies. It starts rotting and it dies, okay? So first, that condition, too much oxidative stress and not the right diet and antioxidants in your system, at first that will present itself as symptoms, as metabolic disorders, okay? As low energy. Low energy is something to be very, very concerned about. Very concerned. Because that means things aren't working too well. So that's oxidative stress. So everything, the air you breathe, there's a voluntary and involuntary oxidative stressors now, okay? The involuntary ones are pretty much, I guess, the air you breathe. Everything else is pretty much voluntary. Your personal hygiene. There's parabens, there's toxins. There's toxins in baby powder. Johnson & Johnson baby powder. I know, a little tiny baby, you're putting toxins on that little thing, they go right into the blood system. By the way, when you use lotions and such, I'll tell you a story I haven't told in a long time. So I was working with an alcohol patient, right? Woman addicted to alcohol. And so she got a bunch of DUI, so they put her on Ambuse, okay? And to prevent her from drinking, because you can die. You can actually die on Ambuse if you drink. Some people have died because of drinking on that. And so she was doing my 6-week program, outpatient program. And so she's doing everything like I tell her and whatnot. And she's like, she called me, and Genita, I'm feeling very nauseous in the morning. I'm doing everything that you're telling me to do, And I started scratching my head because my system works, right? So we went item for item for item for item what she was doing every day. And you know what we found out? The alcohol in her body lotion was making her sick because she was on Antabuse. When you put something on your skin that is toxic, it goes right into the blood system. It bypasses the liver. You'd be better off drinking it because you detox, the gut detoxes about 20% of toxins that you eat or drink, and then the liver gets the next pass for whatever else, right? But that's how potent these, bad personal hygiene products can be. Lead in your eyeliner, that's going straight to your brain, okay? So, so all the oxidative stress is everywhere. OTC drugs,
What's OTC?
psychiatric drugs, drugs. Even the, drugs for diabetes, drugs for heart pressure, heart disease, statins. They're all toxic. In fact, like the ones that people take for sleep, that rots your gut real fast. You know why? Because your gut, the motility, the muscles go soft, they don't contract right, so you're not digesting right. So stuff sits in there even longer.
What about CoQ10?
No, I don't discuss, I don't do that. To be honest with you, I mean...
But isn't that something that the body produces?
It's not, these pills don't chase away a bad diet. Ask Melody, there's very little supplemental in it. They're all organic based, organic food based. People, go after these like CoQ10 for this because to try and chase away a bad diet. I don't teach taking pills because you don't need to. A good broad base, like Mega Food is good. Mega Food is a good product. It's organic, food based, minerals, and organic food-based B-complex, so you can choose anything from the organic line of Mega Food because it has all the cofactors, all the mysteries of God and nature in there that we know nothing about. But isolated products like that, every vitamin or mineral needs a combination of what we call cofactors to even work right. So I I don't go for that, taking a pill, you know, it's naturopathy acting like allopaths. Here, take a pill, you know?
Well, this is like, you know, it's just an anti-free radical fiber. It has nothing,
Yeah, but
but not for food. I don't take it for a food supplement. It was just,
I don't use them, so I don't
Yeah.
really respond, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, I know what they are, you know, and we were, you know, of course, I'm educated in the field, but I don't prescribe pills like that. I
Yeah.
just don't.
As far as bone loss, you know, I know that there are all
pH,
those steps.
blood pH. Everybody's acidic now, so what's happening is, you know, the bones, the system, the blood will pull calcium from the bone to try and buffer the blood, to keep the blood at 7.365. So pH, get yourself a pH, a digital pH meter, not these, you know, that. And your pH should be, oh, by the way, your pH should be about 6.6, but your urine pH should be about 6.5. Another wonderful, all the wonderful doctors are in Texas. Another great doctor, Dr. Tennant, he's in Dallas. He wrote the book, this is a very good book to read, Healing is Voltage. And it's all about energy. It's all about energy. And he indicates in that book that, and what I learned in that book, by the way, because I was on like saliva, change, what should urine be? And anyway, so the urine should be about 6.5 because extracellular fluids are about 0.8 lower than intracellular, okay? And what instead of 7.365 is the number for intracellular. So your urine pH should be about 6.5 or slightly above. But, you know, don't go for alkalosis and don't go for acidosis, obviously. A lot of people go overboard. Again, balance. You want it right around your end result is 7.365. But read that book. You know, it's Transmembrane Voltage, which is a topic that I'm going to go to next since I just kind of, any questions about oxidative stress? It's just, you got to stay away from toxins. I live in a bubble, happily. In fact, I want to make it thicker and thicker as time goes by with society. I'm getting really disappointed. But I know there will be a surge. You know, the knowledgeable people, the true Americans are just being quiet and watching things right now. But I live in a bubble, happily. I don't want to be sick and you know, moping around like regular humans today, you know?
So just to follow up, if you're my doctor because of small bones anyway, it's a new chapter that I'm supposed to take. It's something, would you just not, after this diet, I would know that I don't need.
New chapter, I'm very disappointed. You know, Procter & Gamble bought New Chapter years ago. And I'm just very disappointed. I had a client, a very successful alcohol client in Costa Rica. She got home to Arizona, found the man of her dreams, got pregnant, called me, Genita, please come out. I want to hire you to green my home. And you know, I'm seeing this naturopath, and I got 3 bags of supplements. And by the way, you know, I'm licensed by the Board of Naturopathic Medicine with an award from them. And I don't practice. I practice, that's why I call what I do high impact biological medicine, because naturopaths, sorry, Natch, for this going on too. Oh well. They practice medicine like allopaths, a pill. These pills have toxic binders and fillers. New chapter, one of her supplements was the women's pregnancy supplement. And I'm looking on the back and there's titanium dioxide in it. Okay, now, you go directly to, there's a binder, right, binder filler for the machine so the product doesn't stick to the machine. They don't care about your body, right, your pregnant body. So you go to the government's, you know, toxicology reports. Every toxin has to have a report, you know, with the government online, right? Not the pissed off hippie website that I own and operate. This is the government's toxicology report, MSDS reports. And there's you look up titanium dioxide there, directly linked to birth defects. Why would they put that in a women's pregnancy vitamin? It's just.
A New Chapter is what's New Chapter?
It's
Is that
a
a product?
It's a product. It's a vitamin line. That, you know.
Okay.
So. You know, that's
People
why
need to do their
this
research.
supplement stuff is just, you know, I mean, it really, I mean, I take, well, I mean, there are things that I take that Melody is very familiar with. Like, I take Sheila Z, that oozes out of rocks in the Himalayas that was developed like millions of years ago. It's like a tar, it's just full of biomass and minerals from 100 million years ago. We don't have all the minerals that we evolved on today in our diet. I don't care how perfect your diet is, because it's simply not in the food, not even organic food anymore, okay? So I take that because that's million-year-old, 2 million-year-old mineral source. I take turmeric and ginger every day. I don't have inflammation, it's just good for me and I like it, so I take it, I do a shot of it every day. I do my probiotics, my mud, I do colostrum in and out when I feel like it. When it's around, I'll gulp that down in the morning.
So are you doing a liquid turmeric?
I juice everything, or my daughter does for me. Everything has to be fresh. Anything that's processed and isn't organic, the medicinal value drops significantly, the medicinal value. You know, plants, when they're sprayed with toxins, their immune systems become exhausted. They use nutrients, their nutrients, to try and protect themselves and stay alive, right? So all those nutrients are bled out. So when you bleed nutrients out of any food, it loses its medicinal value. It actually becomes bad for you, especially like roots. Roots absorb everything in the soil that's ever been in the soil. It's not even like airborne stuff like lettuce up here. It's like the roots. That would scare me. Eating turmeric or ginger from next to a freeway with all the lead and everything coming off the exhaust pipes. Like that product, Driscoll's. I have a dear friend in Santa Cruz who developed ovarian cancer, and she developed the Staff of Life supplement department in Santa Cruz over like 25 years, right? It's like the #1 supplement. She's very knowledgeable, and also the top shelf kind of stuff. Very knowledgeable woman, very healthy. And she came up with, in her late 40s, with ovarian cancer. And I'm like, whoa, what? And uterine cancer. And we started looking into things. Driscoll's is in Watsonville, and the lead, her lead levels were off the charts, right? Just off the charts. It's because the farms, the Driscoll farms, the organic, organic doesn't mean that there isn't, toxic metals in something, right? And because they don't test for that, it just means that they didn't spray certain toxins on them, right? But the farms are right along the, right in Watsonville, right along the freeways, right? So all of the carbon, all of the lead and everything from exhaust pipes and whatnot have been collecting in that soil for years, decades.
You're talking about like Driscoll spaghetti, strawberries?
Yeah, those. Yeah, I don't eat those.
So where do you get strawberries?
Well, I'm in hill country, but Texas is great. You start looking up, you need to know your farmers. It just takes time, and you should enjoy yourself. Get to know your farmers. Go out to the farms and then have them ship things to you once a week or something like that. Being in hill country, I have meat and local farms that are organic and all over the place. Suretail Creek is a really good one. The yolks of the eggs are all grass and bug fed. You don't want eggs from chickens that are eating grain.
They taste completely different.
I know, and also the yolks are like crimson orange, just like neon, deep orange,
What was that name again?
Shirt tail Creek, yeah. They may ship, I'm not sure, but I don't know if you can get them. Or just look up, a traditional no grain. I don't even care organic. Grain is not natural to a chicken's diet. They're not meant to digest it. They don't digest it very well. And also, like giving these cows all this grain and stuff, they're supposed to graze. They get fat. It's all for fat. They get fat and they get arthritis and inflammation from it. Those poor things are got to be in pain. They've got to be in pain. I do eat meat occasionally, but I'll tell you what, I've fired people that you have as clients that you guys have seen on television and in movies for eating tortured meats. I draw the line there. The way I look at it is, why should I help you eliminate your suffering if you're going to cause and support industries that cause suffering? The way I look at that. So did he have a question about
Benjamin.
oxidative stress? It is the impetus of every disease. It's the fundamental cause. It starts right there. It's the fundamental cause of all disease because it breaks down the body. It poisons the body, breaks down the body so things can't work, and the minute things can't work, things go bad. In whatever direction your DNA will allow it.
I love my Vitamix. 1 avocado, 1 organic cucumber, some this Himalayan salt. What I'm not doing right is the water, and some ice cubes. I just blend it up. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Vitamix a lot too.
I love that thing.
Yeah, look up on Brighteon. I teach people how to make really good organic almond or cashew nut milk
Oh, cool.
without cheesecloth because of the Vitamix. Yeah.
I don't know if he can hear, or I asked him to unmute, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
so-
I'll continue.
Yeah.
And he can pop in whenever he wants. So transmembrane voltage. So every cell of your body, it's interesting because you call a battery cell a cell, and your cells in your body a cell, has a positive and negative charge, okay? So when you read across that charge, that's what transmembrane voltage is, all right? And transmembrane voltage starts to go down. Every cell of your body works at about minus 70 millivolt, except for the heart. The heart works at about minus 120. It's a very active organ that needs a lot of energy, apparently, and it also has most mitochondria per cell in the brain. But the heart runs at 120. It's very interesting that there's really no such thing as heart cancer. Because cancer starts, you can't have cancer without low transmembrane voltage, okay? I mean, I think that there's like 1 case of heart cancer a year, but really it's a heart virus, I think. But well, just to keep it on the books or something, I don't know. But because of the transmembrane voltage of heart, like if your transmembrane voltage is gonna, if you're doing things that are gonna cause low transmembrane voltage, like sedentary lifestyles, oxidative stress, which goes with sedentary lifestyles, bad water, no minerals, etc., then something else is going to develop cancer. Some other organ that works at minus 70 is going to go low, because cancer starts right around minus 35. Because when transmembrane voltage goes down, that means the cell is getting very slow and very sluggish at doing its work, right? So that means toxins are going to build up internally, and then it's going to die, and then it's going to cause problems. And also what happens is as the transmembrane voltage goes down, that means now oxygen isn't getting in well, low oxygen because you're not exercising, you're not, your lungs aren't working right because of inflammation maybe. And so what happens is the body doesn't have enough oxygen and hydrogen, by the way, hydrogen, and glucose, always, never a shortage of glucose, but in the mitochondria to boom, make energy, ATP, right? So what it does, it's the impetus of cancer. What it does is the cell will, to survive, it will say, okay, I don't have enough oxygen to combine with glucose to create energy, so it actually creates an enzyme that will split glucose for energy. That's how cancer starts. Then you get the lactic acid going up. I can tell a lot of times, in fact, the man from Houston that ended up passing from colon cancer, I told my friend, I said, get him to a doctor because I think he has cancer, because I can tell from the colon if a person has cancer because of the high lactic acid. But anyway, so low transmembrane voltage, all right? So oxidative stress, dehydration, bad foods, oxidative stress will cause low transmembrane voltage. And that's, again, impetus of every disease, too. It goes, all these things kind of, they matrix together to create disease, right? Which is why you have to approach each and every one of them.
So it's the perfect storm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which you have to approach each and every one of them. It's also to tell you what, these 7 things that I'm discussing today is what my medical model approaches very efficiently in 7 days, and I educate you to move on and how to maintain and progress from there. But these are the 7 aspects of health that I approach for everything. People want to think that they're different, you know, that MS, cancer, diabetes. No, I use pretty much the same. There's sometimes a layer of things that I need to do specifically for people, like if they have toxic metals and we need to chelate them. There's an individual layer sometimes to expedite the healing process, especially like if I have someone with cancer, and also like nootropics for people with Parkinson's, to start feeding the brain with all the goodies, you know, to help rebuild brain tissue. But fundamentally, you know, I use this model to treat all of those things. It's the foundation of disease and metabolic disorders, is these things going awry, okay?
What happened to the lady where you figured out the farms that she was so toxic in California, lead? So you discovered it was she was living in the area where they were spraying the
Abilene.
shelters. Was it Abilene? Was it Cal?
No, you mean Barbara?
No. We were just talking about this.
The
Uterine cancer. She
Oh, yeah, that
developed
lead.
in the 40s, and so how were you able to help her after you figured out her lead?
We chelated her.
You chelated her?
Mm-hmm, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, yeah, and she's alive and well today.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that to see if she was still alive. Okay, great.
Yeah, I just got done working with a family of 3 that came out a month ago.
Yes.
The Susan, yeah.
Yeah.
And well, I didn't say the last name, I would have had to edit this, but they HIPAA. But anyway, 2 of them came back with crazy levels. I mean, Mad Hatter levels of mercury, and Mom didn't. So, and Mom does hot yoga too. So, but anyway, which is good, right? So, because you got to detox daily, you got to exercise, and if you can't get get some exercise in, get a sauna and take a sauna. But you have to detox daily, okay? Just living the involuntary toxins in your environment, you know. Breathing, also, you know, your saliva collects everything, you know, virus and mold and bacteria and everything in the air, and then you swallow it, goes in, and you gotta detox daily.
But if you don't have access to
But
saunas and.
No, you get a portable one. I'll show you.
Yeah,
one.
there's a $200 portable one online.
It's a low PMM.
Yeah, and your head sticks out, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
You do your own sauna, you plug it in, you sit in it for at least 30 minutes to an hour, and I haven't bought one yet, I've been meaning to. So, you do it and you sweat it out.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah. It's like doing hot yoga, but you're sitting in a chair.
So it's not like doing It's kind of like doing hot yoga, but you're not.
But you're sweating profusely, all your toxins out.
Like big candy. Remember?
Yeah. And you drink your bone broth, and you call it a day, and your gut heals.
There you go, Dr. Melody.
I mean, it's
I love it.
amazing.
It is. Everybody could be a doctor, really.
Your own
You
inner,
know, it's
yeah.
just, everybody could.
You're just turning on your own inner physician.
Exactly. Awakening the physician within. So we're, low transmembrane. I just want everybody to understand that, like, if you have low energy, you have low transmembrane voltage, and that's something to be concerned about, because, you know, you shouldn't, I don't care how old you are, you should have good energy, really good, stable energy throughout the day. Age is not an excuse. It is not. You know, that people, they seem to want you to expect, you know, to get aches and pains and, you know, give up your vitality, because, you know, I work with a doctor, an MD, who went to his cardiologist because he was feeling weak and, you know, this and that. And his cardiologist said, oh, you need a heart pacer. And I asked the doctor, I'm like, why do you need a heart pacer? He's like, why did your cardiologist tell you that you need, what was the reasoning? And he said, because I'm 61. Like, so everybody at 61 needs a heart pacer. And then he almost died because the second time one of the wires blew, and they had to put another one in, and when they did that in the hospital, whatever staph infection or whatever, he got a heart virus, and he almost died. So,
Wow. So what
Anyway.
happened with the trio? The
Oh, yeah.
guys had the
So,
lead.
so they got the
mercury.
mercury. I mean, but really bad. And one of them, the boy, he's only like 31, and he's been suffering for like 3 years, and he's really healthy. He's sauna, he works out, he takes his supplement, all this good stuff, all organic. He's like, Genita, I can't, this is crazy. What's wrong with me? Well, mercury. So we may have gotten to the bottom of it. I just got all their labs back. This is very recent, because the two of them go to Mexico to go fishing, and they bring home a ton of tuna and smoke it for the year. Mom doesn't eat the tuna.
Ah.
And by the way, unfortunately, I mean levels that would cause neurodegenerative disease, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all kinds of MS, any kind of nervous system disease has an affinity for the nervous system. Mercury does, mercury and lead. And yeah, Mom doesn't have it, so we're pretty sure. They're sending the samples to Mike Adams' lab because we're pretty sure it's the mercury. And Dad, we got rid of a ton, like he says, like 95% of his anxiety with the diet, the base, the foundational protocol that you're on. His anxiety, he said, went away, that he's lived with almost like since he can remember, right? But I'll bet anything when we get that mercury out of him, he's good to go, But these things, I tell people the first thing you should do in approaching your own health, because it really helps to see things in black and white, for one. But then, you also know it feels a lot better too to invest in the things you need to invest in to start up the health game, right? Get tested. Get Great Plains, the mycotoxicity. See if you have mold. Got to get rid of mold. That can destroy your life on its own. Okay, as far as energy, digestion, longevity, all of it. But mycotoxicity and virotox, which is all the chemicals that we're the predominant ones that we're exposed to. And I love my great state of Texas, but the petroleum byproducts, because of all the oil drilling. So the more west you go, the tougher it is. But we have a lot of petroleum products in our groundwater, and that means wells too. So that's where Berkey comes in again, and you can even get the Berkey shower filters for $75. So you can filter your shower water, because again, transmembrane voltage, transmembrane exposure of toxins, and you gain about a quarter pound of weight in a shower, water weight in a shower. So you're getting them. You're getting those toxins in the water.
Dang, way before you take a shower.
Yeah, you take a shower, and it's an external shower, but internally you're mucking up.
So how do you get rid of mercury in the blood?
There's, I don't even, you can chelate by IV, EDTA IV at the clinic. Also though, to be honest, like some people just want to get it done, right? So, so I still will put them on a 2-week suppository, EDTA suppository and oral, just to get a lot of it out. The easier stuff out, because like these two guys that are as toxic as they are, I would never put them right on the pipe, right on an IV for chelation, because you can cause a lot of problems, with the brain, and because you're releasing it from the tissue, and you need to have all your detox mechanisms, your kidneys, your liver, everything ready to go to get it out. When you release it from the tissue, everything's got to be ready to get it out, right? Mm-hmm. So I tell people, like on a 2-week suppository, and by the way, suppository chelation is very, very efficient. It is good. You can save a ton of money. You want to first find out where the source is, so again, you're not chasing the dragon, chasing your tail, just retoxifying yourself. While you're trying to get rid of it, but because anything that goes in the colon gets in the blood, and it's a very slow. You use coconut oil and 500 milligrams, and there's like little suppository things you can make. So you make a big batch of coconut oil and EDTA 500, and adjust your formula for 500 milligrams per capsule, and then put it in the freezer. And you got suppositories, and And then you need to sauna every day, make sure you're getting it out, like, get it out, get it out, get it out, so it's not just finding a new home. And so if you need to save a lot of money and you can't do IV, you can definitely do a really good job with the rectal, the suppositories. So transmembrane voltage, very, very important. So oxidative stress, dehydration, malnutrition, all those things will cause low transmembrane voltage. That's just, that low transmembrane voltage is an accumulation of all those factors that matrix into the cell that cause that, and you're heading for disease, okay? Like I said, fatigue, take it very seriously, okay?
It's interesting
Chronic
that
fatigue, like a lot, like daily, not a
Anxiety.
bad day here and there.
anxiety went away
His anxiety went away. Davis, yeah.
from just doing a simple
said-
protocol. That's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the brain, you have four immune systems. The brain has its own immune system. That's why people, the Chinese say gut on fire, brain on fire. And it's true, the brain and the gut are actually one organ in the womb. And then they separate, and then they still have a vagus nerve that connects the two. The gut is definitely the second brain. And everybody's guts are on fire these days unless they're taking proper care of themselves and have a healthy microbiome. Those lipopolysaccharides and all those toxins, there's a lot of toxins made in the gut that are actually analogs, and what I mean by that, they mimic excitatory neurotransmitters in the brain. They go to the brain and they overstimulate the brain, and that causes worry. If your brain's overstimulated, it goes into a worry sort of mode because you physically are thinking that, but you're not thinking it consciously, but physically, like a tiger's chasing you, you're overstimulated. So, and that was his case. That was his case. So the brain, the brain immune system, the lungs have their own immune system. Of course, the gut is the seat of the immune system. The skin has its own immune system, and actually women have 5 because vaginal. In fact, my daughter is starting a conscious conception, I call it a conscious conception program for getting pregnant, because you want your microbiome, you want the biome of your vaginal canal healthy when that baby comes out, because that is where the baby's immune system is seated, right there. So that's where everything starts. Unhealthy microbiome. And in today's world, nobody wants to be having a baby with a weak immune system, because that's just setting it up for problems. So, let's see, what else? So I wanted to explain
Do you need to leave?
low oxygen.
What time's your client?
Oh,
She has a client.
I'm running long, huh?
No, it's just she has to go to work,
Oh,
so.
well, I'm gonna post the lecture, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I loved it.
Good.
And I love her results, so.
Awesome. See
I
that
should come
camera?
see you.
She needs to come see you.
Oh, good.
We gotta
Okay.
we gotta heal this.
Perfect, all righty.
So, you will hear
I'm
from me.
looking forward to it. All
It's
right.
all right. I tried to move her to 2, but it didn't work.
Well, you can go online and
Yeah, I'll
she'll
text her.
share the link with you. All right, nice to meet you.
I'll put that stuff out for you. Okay, thank you.
And I'll come with her.
So,
I'll come with her and support her as she goes through it.
I'm good, fine.
Immune systems,
So
brain,
what-
gut,
what?
lungs. No, I was just going all over these immune systems that we have. We have the 5.
Mhm. Yep. So yeah, so you're gonna have brain problems. You're gonna have brain problems if you have gut problems. One goes with the other. It's a direct link. I do want to explain hydrogen. Very important. Hydrogen is not being in the water as it should be anymore. And remember, hydrogen is an antioxidant. It's the #1 antioxidant, even above vitamin C. And everybody, in my opinion, everybody is hydrogen deficient now. Everybody. Because it's not in the water where it's supposed to be anymore, or very little. And it's not in the produce like it should be anymore, because it's supposed to be trapped. That's where we're supposed to get it. It's trapped in the produce. there's only about 1% in the air. You know, the two of the oxygen and hydrogen can't be together because they're combustible, right? So anyway, our two sources of hydrogen are supposed to be produce and water. It's not in produce, again, because hydrogen is a key factor of the immune system. It's an electron donor. So the poor plants are, all their hydrogen is being used up trying to keep the plant, you know, alive and healthy while it's growing. So now the relationship with hydrogen and transmembrane voltage, the all-important transmembrane voltage. People don't know this. In fact, I wasn't even taught this in biochemistry school. I actually learned this from Dr. Hoffer. So hydrogen and oxygen combine in the cell's mitochondria, which is the energy production center, with glucose. And it is the hydrogen proton that is released that actually causes the spark of energy, the energy. That's hydrogen. So if you're low hydrogen, you're going to be, you know, and that's got also a pH factor. So if you're acidic, your oxygen and your hydrogen are going to be bad, because hydrogen is, pH means per hydrogen molecule, right? So that's why, you know, when you're properly, your pH is good, your oxygen uptake increases like 20%, because the hydrogen pulls the oxygen into the cells. So again, hydrogen is very important. Now, I love my hydrogen machine. It's a very expensive one. I have 4 of them now for the clinic. But I tell you, there's very little that I can do in any department of health that I actually get a significant change in my health. Like, whoa, this is good stuff. And I got my hydrogen machine. It'll be 2 years this August. I wear that cannula every single night because, you know, like I said, you know, I do about 8 miles of mountain biking in the morning, and I mean hills, up and down, and I wasn't burning in the areas where I would typically burn. I felt like 20 years old on a bike again, you know, and I'm already good, but all that changed. I sleep like a baby, but now I can sleep even longer, and I like to sleep longer because I dream better. So, because I usually sleep like 6-7 hours, but now I put it down for 8 hours a night. And I always slept really well, but now I can sleep longer. And I could tell, you know, that hormonally I was like supercharging, you know, just like everything. I mean, I'm a happy person except for being pissed off, but I'm a happy pissed off person, right? But my mood really improved, which means that my tolerance of humans today improved. So that makes me feel better because I'm not in that angst anymore. No, I can't even have a, you know, it's hard for me to go to a checkout line or anything and deal with people. It's just, you know, especially if they're wearing a mask. It's like, no, because really seriously, you need to read my newsletters because we have all the proof. Science has the proof. Masks bad. Masks actually increase the possibility of developing full-blown COVID. Everything collects, your CO2 is going up. It's just a bad environment. Hypoxia damages the kidneys. You know, low oxygen, that causes low transmembrane voltage. Okay? I wonder how many people have died of things, you know, that they were suffering with earlier because of mask wearing. You don't cut off oxygen to the body. You just don't. And it's stupid anyway. You're breathing through the sides of it. And these face and these shields, you know, the air's still there. You just look stupid now. You know?
So I know we have a right to be pissed off because this
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
last year, I lost a year of my business and
Right.
Forcing us to wear a mask. When the mask, it's like throwing sand through a chain link fence. It doesn't do what it's, and they're pushing it on us and pushing it on our kids.
For
and-
control. We know what.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's okay to be.
Yep.
It's okay to be pissed.
Yep.
Well, how much is a hydrogen machine?
7,500.
Okay, well, that's.
There's a consumer one now that he's got. It's just the best, you know. and it's like 35 or 4, I think.
You can put the hydrogen in the water, like Genita sent me a link to buy a hydrogen.
Yeah, there's a little machine for, that's like 200, that's good, because it really helps the gut.
So I
But it
drink,
doesn't get
I
into the
drink
brain,
water.
like all my Parkinson's people, because it's used up in the gut, believe me. The hydrogen donates all the electrons before it can even get close to the bloodstream. But like my Parkinson's patients, anything like in the brain, because the hydrogen molecule is like, it's just phenomenally smaller. I'm gonna say 1,000, that's just a wild guess, than even the vitamin C molecule, right? So when you're breathing it overnight, you got 8 hours of saturating the blood, and it's getting in the brain, and it's really like donating electrons to the brain. And so like I always put my Parkinson's patients on it. And I actually got a Parkinson's patient walking. He came in, he had been diagnosed for 9 years, was on 12 L-Dopa a day, couldn't walk. He was like this, he was dragging his right leg. He used it like this and used it as a post so he could move this leg forward. And in 10 days I had him walking. And not only walking, but he was a black guy. He was actually walking with a swag. So in 10 days, a lot of NAD, a lot of, you just get, you get the good stuff in, the right good stuff in, and the bad stuff out. That's the medical model, and it'll work, you just like, people don't understand, people don't know how much like Einstein and Tesla actually contributed to medicine, Epigenetics, that's Einstein, it's the environment of the cells that kills the cell. The cells actually are not programmed for death. The cells do not know how to die. All cells know is repair and replication. So if you put cells in the right environment, the proper environment that we evolved on up to about 100 years ago, that with a nice healthy planet, right? So up until 100 years ago, you go back 100, create the right environment with nutrients, minerals, proper water, hydration, staying out of the bad, staying away from all GMOs and pesticides and whatnot, then you're going to live a healthy, vibrant life, So it's math. It's what I call math, You do the right things and you get the results. And nothing matters more to me than feeling good every day. Really, like I like life, but I want to, I like enjoying life. It's good stuff. Sign me up again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll take questions. I think I'm done. Am I done? If there's any questions? Oh yeah, I'll just go over real quick how the clinic. And one day I was looking around at my clinic and I realized all I'm doing at my clinic is reintroducing what's missing in our lives now, hydrogen, so I have the hydrogen machines. We boost, we do a lot of NAD, IV therapy, because NAD increases the mitochondria count in every cell. Actually, it makes more mitochondria because we lose mitochondria as we age. So I'm boosting transmembrane voltage big time using the NAD and getting things working, and also it helps detoxify from the inside out of the cell, whereas all other detoxification methods of today, like juice fasting and all these fasts and everything, very good for you, extends telomeres, etc., but they work by cleaning up the extracellular environment and so giving the cells a chance to eat clean, drink clean, and then eventually cleanse out. But NAD actually really does do it internally, from the inside out very efficiently.
What does NAD stand for?
Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide.
Sure you do.
So, and then of course the ozone therapy, the ozone IV, the 10 pass, we do the EVU now for a while. I think I'm getting ready to retire it though, because, just for a few different reasons, but we use ozone in water to clean bacteria and viruses out. We use it in meat packing plants to do that. We use it in a lot of areas. It does the same thing in the blood. It cleans you out. All pathogens No pathogen stands a chance in the presence of ozone because they don't have the protection. So healthy cells doesn't touch because healthy cells have protection from ozone. So, but unhealthy cells like biotoxins, all toxins, and pathogens like cancer and things like that, die in the presence of ozone. So it's a really, in fact, it's so efficient that we do the ozone the 6th or 7th day after I cleaned you out a bunch, so I can avoid any kind of Herx reaction. Because people are so toxic today that 10 passes and things like that would make you sick, you know, like for a day or two while you Herx, because your detoxification organs aren't primed and good enough to get everything out as fast as it's dying. So,
So the ozone machine that is in here that helps to clean the air, that smells so good, I love it.
You mean right behind her?
Yeah, doesn't that help?
Right here.
It's up there.
oh yeah, it helps with your breath. Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah,
I got that
thank
from you,
Oh,
because
cool.
you suggested we
Yeah,
get it.
Of
So-
course.
Because I've been
I
following
know, it makes the
Genita.
air sparkly.
Yeah.
When I walk in, I can smell it immediately, it's
Yeah.
fabulous.
Oh yeah, it gives it
Yeah.
that woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps all the bacteria and whatnot, you know,
Yeah.
bacteria and viruses out of the air, kills it in the air.
That's why it's going.
But what we do is we put ozone through a glass, we draw it, it's a continuous flow. Blood goes into the ozone chamber and then mixes with the ozone and then comes out. That's EBU. And it purifies the blood, big time. So NAD, pulse electromagnetic therapy,
Yeah.
$36,000. This isn't a beamer, this is a medical device. Well, I mean, beamers are good, people can get, you know, fair results with beamers. But this is a 36, the one that I have is a German technology, $36,000 of fine German technology. And the reason why I got it is because, you know, our another thing about transmembrane voltage. So we have a geomagnetic frequency right on the planet, right? And actually that's where your cells get the information of how to function, okay? Is from that frequency. It changes from, you know, like 1 to, you know, 36 to 40 hertz throughout the day, okay? But that is actually being reduced because of electronic pollution. The soil, you know, doesn't have the mineral content, so that's not making, you know, the energy. There's a number of reasons, toxicity, et cetera, So our geomagnetic frequencies are lowering. That's another problem that we have that is involuntary, right? So I'm sure the farther you get away from this electronic pollution, like some island somewhere, you're in a lot better shape. Walking around with your shoes off, you know, getting out in nature as much as possible in the trees, you'll be in better shape because the trees can block a lot of that, the influences that are lowering our geomagnetic frequencies. But the pulse electromagnetic, it's got a huge magnet like this. It goes around you, okay? And I can adjust it from anything from 0 to 60 hertz depending upon what I'm treating. And I can place the magnet and you're laying on a bed and it literally encircles you. But what the magnet does is it creates a torus like this, okay? Like in Tai Chi, you know, this is how you're taught. These are the motions. Everything is a motion like this or carrying the ball, right? And that's how your cells expect to receive pulse electromagnetic treatment or therapy or the geomagnetic frequency. It's through the torus, right? In fact, the whole Earth torus system, energy system is like this, right? So it emulates how you're supposed to receive the geomagnetic frequencies, which is far more bioavailable than like the beamer where you're laying on a mat with magnets and such, and coils. So now the PEMF, huge, raises transmembrane, it's like putting jumper cables on every cell. It really helps raise transmembrane voltage. It's actually, amazingly, not that I care, because you know the FDA is always trying to take away things that we need, but amazingly, it's actually PEMF is actually approved by the FDA, which is a miracle. I don't know how they got it through, but for depression and bone healing, joint healing. So it improves circulation. Anything that's going to improve circulation, like exercise. But it improves that circulation, reduces inflammation, raises transmembrane voltage, gets things moving. And so see, what I'm doing is introducing the things that we're losing on the planet to get the body healthy again, right? And then colon hydrotherapy because of fat people, and of course, you're releasing tons of toxins in that 7 days. So of course we gotta help you move it out and get things moving, right? Exercise, of course, we went over diet and probiotics. I'm gonna end with probiotics. Very important. So I already mentioned the colostrum, okay? That's the perfect medicine, however, also what you wanna do, the only product for probiotics that I use is Jubb's, Dr. David Jubb, from Life Food. He, brilliant microbiologist, brilliant. And if I could in another lifetime, I would definitely sign up for a career in microbiology. It fascinates me, I love it. But anyway, the soil-based probiotics are the best by far, and his is the best above all of them because he doesn't pasteurize, heat, freeze, whatever. Okay, probiotics are supposed to be living things, right? So everything that the FDA, everything on the shelf has to be pasteurized in some way per the FDA, right? So to reduce the likelihood or the possibility of any kind of bad bacteria, E. coli or whatever growing. So okay, let me explain probiotics. So soil-based probiotics and thousands of probiotics, right? And different families, okay, different families of probiotics. The diversity is off the charts in soil-based. If the microbiologist or person knows where to source properly, like David does. When you go to Whole Foods to buy probiotics for like $50 a pop, right? You look on it because they love saying, because they like trying to fool you. They love saying 200 million CFUs. So people think, oh, good, cool, I'm getting a big bang for my buck. No, you're not, because when you look on the back, there's like at best 12 families, okay? The Hunza, okay, the American Gut Project, write that down because you want to look them up, and if you want to study microbiome science, really great scientists, and they're worldwide. They call it American Gut Project, but they're actually worldwide. They found the most ancient people on the planet. Now, the Australian Aborigines are, they say, the most ancient, but they've been exposed a lot to, today's food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Hunza people, way up in the Himalayas above Pakistan, the Hunza people, they still do what they did 5,000 years ago. Okay, they eat the same way, they're unadulterated, no GMO, nothing, they're unadulterated by modern society, food systems, etc., okay? They live 120 to 140 years of age, vibrantly, okay? And so they tested their microbiomes, and I get my zeros off, but who cares after 30,000, right? But it's either, their probiota was like, either 30, a healthy probiotic in their gut profile was like, I think it was 30,000 or 300,000, probably maybe 30,000. Let's go with 30,000, okay? Whereas modern man in any industrial place like, industrial living like the United States or England or Germany, any of those, is, I think we're lucky if you have 3,000. Now these people, they don't get cancer, they don't get Parkinson's. They don't. Why? Because they live in a clean environment. They say that the water looks like milk, so it's mineral rich. So, so the more diversity of these probiotics that you have in your gut, the healthier you're going to be, the longer you're going to live, and the happier you're going to be about it. So. Now I do use Bifido. Bifido is the only probiotic that I buy from Natron, and I use that because Bifido is established, very well established, that it is, the Bifidobacterium is the most prolific colon probiotic. healthy bacteria. So I use it just, you know, as a safety net, you know, like just to make sure that there's lots of good stuff in there. Now, please also understand that what we call harmful bacteria, they're not really harmful. I gotta apologize to the other bacteria. They're not really harmful. We only call them bad bacteria when they get out of control, when there's too much of them. Then they become problematic, okay? So the way to keep them down in healthy amounts is eat a lot of good foods that have a lot of probiotics, okay? You need to take probiotics because monocropping, you know, all of our food, even organic, is monocrop, right? So we're not getting a very diverse profile. Heirloom food produce, of course, is always going to be more diverse, okay, in probiotics and healthy bacteria. But anyway, so you know I think I'm going to end here. But you need to take a good soil-based probiotic, and I do suggest Dr. Jubb's because one. And by the way, you know, this medical model has been developed by intimate feedback that I get. You know, I'm not the type of clinician where you walk into my office for 15 minutes and I check some boxes and say goodbye. I work on the floor with people 8 to 10 hours a day and have for about 15 years during these very intense treatment cycles. And I stay in touch with my clients and I get feedback about products that I've prescribed. So through the years, this medical model has developed and how I do and what I suggest based on that alone. You know, my education my $1 million education, the 3 brilliant doctors that I've been mentored with, that's where my education came from, and then the feedback from my clients over 15 years in these very intense circumstances with every single disease that people suffer today. I've had everything come through the clinic. So just know that, you know, this is not urban, this works, you know. I face these people, my clients, all the time, you know. I mean, I don't, you know, most of them don't just go home and I never hear from them again. You know, I get feedback, and this is the stuff over the years that has worked the best, and that's why it's in the medical model. I don't make a penny off of the stuff that I suggest because I think it adulterates science today, and people are, for good reason, very cautious, you know. I don't like being sold something every time I turn, you know, like, because people are becoming very jaded because a lot of stuff doesn't work. So then they're like, well, what's in it for you to be, you know. So as a scientist, I don't take money, I don't take kickbacks from the things that just to keep the relationship clean, you know. I'm very happy making my living from being a clinician, you know. I don't need to sling supplements and wouldn't want to be honest. There's a lot of moving of the arms and legs for not a lot of kickback. So anyway, I'm done. Any questions?
Okay, just your book. This is a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving into a tiny place, living on the most meager salary, not even salary, like out of the estate and everything. So a book and how to like try to begin incorporating those things. I mean,
Yeah, her books are available on
on the
Amazon.
website.
On
Yeah.
Amazon and
On Amazon.
on your website as well.
I'm not sure, but I mean, Amazon, on Amazon.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. There's a really, I did write The Science of Weight Loss, and it's not about, you know, moving more and eating less today. I know people very dedicated to diets that lose a ton of weight, and the minute they breathe an extra carbohydrate, it all comes back, right?
Do you know what they do at Methodist Hospital? It's disgusting. They put people on a liquid diet for a year. That's all they can have, this liquid crap, 4 times a day. I have 2 friends who've gone on that. They lost 100 pounds and then they gained back 150. It is
Yeah.
so
While they shorten their
simple,
life,
and
I'm
it's
sure.
Methodist Hospital.
While
Are
they
you
shorten
kidding
their
me?
life, yeah, I'm sure, you know, while they, not very much, not a lot of God and nature in that Methodist hospital. So yeah, the science of weight loss is all about correcting the microbiome.
It's just so fascinating to me, and I know this. If I can get it in the right order, I'm moving in 6 weeks, and it's selling everything. All that aside, I can't, it might not be the right time or whatever, but eventually it would actually free me up and save money. It just sounds wonderful.
Since you're obviously on a budget, what I would do is just listen to this lecture. It's gonna be posted over and over again, because you can do with just what I gave, the information I gave you today, eating clean, drinking the right water, how to eat, when to eat, you can do it, and keep that pH where it should be so you stop the bone loss. So just listen to this over and over again. You don't need to buy a thing, except the right food and water. The right filter and the right food, honestly. You don't need to buy a thing.
Thank you.
On the probiotic, the David, what was his last name?
The website is lifefood.com.
Is that Chubb's Mud?
And it's
Yeah.
Jub,
Yeah, every product that he has, I use, like the liver cleanse is really good. I've done that twice myself now. I've been using them for like 10 years at least, and I finally did his liver cleanse, and wow, results, really good, really good results. And I could tell in my colonics, because I had a ton of bile coming through, which means it totally cleared my liver.
Where does one get tested if you need to do that? Remember when you said
I can run the labs, the full labs, like everything that you should know about what's going on underneath the hood. Everything I explained, mycotoxicity, glyphosate, the #1 cause of kidney disease today, the envirotox, the at least 300 of the major pesticides and petrochemicals, et cetera, styrofoams that we're exposed to. That one, the heavy metals, all of them, the whole kit and caboodle is $1,100.
That's not.
And then you know everything that's going on, and you know exactly what's going on underneath the hood. And then really nothing much changes doing the program at the clinic anyway. Nothing really changes because everything here is built to eliminate everything, right? In fact, I actually have before and after labs, all but the heavy metals, because we have to like focus, because they get embedded, they claw into the tissue. So that's a separate one. But all the other ones, the mycotoxicity, all the petrochemicals, pesticides, all the chemicals, the glyphosate, and the organic acid test for the gut health and getting rid of gut inflammation. Before and after labs of a patient that did the 7-day cycle, all of it was gone.
Wow.
He had a fungus infection that was in the gut that was so bad, he literally had green fuzz growing off of his, patches of it growing off of his skin.
So do you test with hair or blood? Both?
It's all urine, actually, except for the toxic metals is poop, stool. You'll never look at French fries. It'll kill your liking for French fries, because they send you the stool collection in a French fry basket.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Too pun intended.
Not kidding. Yeah. And of course, my hair. So probably shouldn't be putting makeup. You can never sell me on hair analysis. I think that's No,
for
I'm
people
just saying.
that aren't licensed to run real lab tests. I know people are gonna like scream and shout about this online.
30 years ago, that's what they did. They did hair.
But the hair follicle itself uses certain mineral. It's just stupid. And then the shampoo and all the toxins that come in from and hair products.
Color, that's what I'm
And
thinking.
again, all the toxins that come in from the air. It's like, no, you do stool.
But I shouldn't be coloring this.
Pardon me?
I should not be doing.
Let me explain something. That's funny that you asked, because I'm kind of
I'm
So, I was talking to my hairstylist, and she brought up a very good, because I used to use henna exclusively, right? And then I was like, I want somebody else to do this, and they make it look a little better. So anyway, I was talking to her about it, and this didn't occur to me. Here I chelate people, I know the science about it, but clay, henna is a clay, and clay actually chelates all the bad metals in the environment, right? And I'm sure they don't use food grade for consumption clay for hair dyes because it's too expensive, right? So you're actually with henna, it's not a great deal. So if you can if you can do like, and there's nothing wrong with, hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, you drink, to help boost the hydrogen in your gut. So anyway, I'm not sure that it's that bad for you, I mean, I'm sure, I haven't done a breakdown of what's, but, I certainly don't want a bunch of, heavy metals right there on my brain,
Yeah.
with the clay. So I haven't done a breakdown besides hydrogen peroxide, what's in hair dye, but I can't imagine that it's that bad for you.
Okay.
And also, your skull's right, there's no like real, I mean, I'm not, there may be some small little capillaries here, but, it's not like you're like pumping it right into an artery, or like veins like this, when you're using bad lotions with parabens and whatnot.
Or eyeliner that's.
A really good documentary to watch, there's a few good ones. Here, you can write these down. For the parabens and environmental toxicities and how easily they get into your blood from these stupid products and canned goods, packaged goods, all that crap, is Bag It. That's a good documentary to watch.
Bag It.
Bag It. And another one is Genetic Roulette. That's all about GMOs. Everybody just needs to watch that because they're invisible and no one thinks it's a problem. It's a big problem. Scientists said 30 years ago that we've opened Pandora's box with GMOs because now they're going to decompose all that stuff is decomposing wherever it rots, externally and in your gut into unknown bacteria. And people are actually now dying of unknown bacteria. Like that's on the death, like unknown bacterial infection. So Genetic Roulette. Then there's Food Inc. You'll never eat from an unethical farm again. After you watch that, actually Jerry Garcia's wife produced that one. I like Farmageddon. It's all about what the good farmers, the organic farmers are going through. With the feds, with shutting them down, taking their livestock. Families being held at gunpoint at 6 o'clock in the morning with SWAT teams showing up because they sell organic dairy.
It's insane.
It is.
And that's happening in the US.
Yeah, I know. It's happening all over the U.S. from California to New York.
It's crazy.
So those are some good, getting started documentaries to watch about some really important topics.
And you're saying for them to go to Brighteon?
Yeah, and please, that's another thing. Go to brighteon.com, punch in my name, Genita Mason. You can subscribe to my channel, and there's all kinds of videos. How to do ozone insulation. I do a lot of how-to. How to make the nut milk. Also, I do have
Parasite paste.
Oh yeah, the parasite killer paste that I make for gut health. And also there are 2 orientations for all my clients that come in. There's 2 orientations of the things I take in the morning, my broad-based nutrients that I take, all organic, made by God and nature, that I take the green soda for the full minerals and such. But like what I take and what I have my patients take, and what they are, what I take and why I take it. Okay, everybody should be doing those because it's baseline biochemistry. It's plugging all the holes that I've learned over the ages of what's dying, what's missing within us because of what's not in our diet or the toxins we're exposed to. So it's filling those holes.
That's funny, we had a client come in. We had a client come in and asked to become, but then she just left. Okay. It's a little late, but
It's all right. We
You'll come back.
can blast out. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can blast out the link. I'll have this up probably tonight from my hotel room since it's rainy and there's not much to do.
I think what's really fascinating is to have like a glossary of terms because a lot of the terms are new to me or just learning what they are and acronyms and how analog mimics certain things in the gut that drive to the brain. Like I'm trying to catch it really fast and learning as I go, using my own gut as an experiment. But, you know, a glossary of terms, or coming back and doing something just on inflammation. Or, I don't know, I think it's all.
Sure, I'll come back anytime. I got family here. We hang out. I do want to say, one other thing as far, one last thing I want to mention, because I started the green mental health care movement. I won an award for getting people off of psychiatric drugs. You'll never convince me that a person is mentally ill unless they're one of those, that was born with it 3%. Not of the population, 3% of people that are on psych drugs, or only 3% should actually be on psych drugs. I remember back in the day at Agnew State Hospital, because I grew up in the Bay Area, after we left Texas, if you were on a psych drug, you had to be in a hospital, not running around, shooting up kids in schools and stuff. You had to be in a hospital. I'm not a fan at all, unless you're one of those with an actual brain tissue anomaly, organic anomaly. So, anyway, Dr. Abram Hoffer, you gotta look him up. He was named Man of the Year for like 10 years straight of Friends and Family of Schizophrenics. He's the one that, found the adrenochrome connection to schizophrenia, and what that is, and you'll be able to understand why people are like at puberty when the stress starts hitting.
My best friend.
Puberty or the early 20s or while they're in college, when that being on your own stress sort of hits, and then you start developing these that you see and hear things. I'm not even going to call it what they call it, because you're seeing and hearing things. The minute you give it a label, there's a drug for it, right? You're seeing and hearing things that aren't necessarily there on this plane. So anyway, so what happens is, in the adrenals, adrenaline is supposed to convert to noradrenaline, and if there's a lot of oxidative stress and a lot of adrenaline, too much adrenaline, a lot of oxidative stress, it will not convert to noradrenaline, it converts instead to adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is very molecularly similar to psilocybin, mushrooms, psychedelics. So that's why, and you can always tell who this population is, because I like living dangerously. Here's how I did the test, to figure out who I was working with when I had the psych ward, the organic psych ward in Costa Rica. I'd stress them out. You can stress. It's easy to stress out a schizophrenic. They tell them they can't have something they want, and they freak out because the immediate gratification, And so you stress them out, and they start getting symptomatic. That's the population you're dealing with. And it was a very easy fix. Equal amounts of vitamin C with niacin. And I tell you, I put them on. I start. You got to build up the niacin. You only do it once. You only make that mistake once.
I look like a red bee.
Yeah. So, but you build it up. But I mean, I've literally had schizophrenic people on 7 grams of niacin twice daily with 7 grams of vitamin C. But the vitamin C lowers and they don't. Actually, that's one of the things that are very, very low histamine.
Oh, wow.
But so the vitamin C reduces the oxidative stress, and the niacin calms the adrenals. So you're lowering the adrenaline and reducing the oxidative stress, and it clears them. There are people that are literally keeping themselves balanced while they correct their diet and get healthy, so they don't have the problem to begin with. But you put them on that. I actually have a kid in Oregon right now. His mom worked to get him on, because he was harvested by the big pharma. Harvested. You have a bad day, and it's an open door for them to get you addicted to drugs. And they finally put him on niacin and C. They're actually giving it to him, not as much as I'd like them to, but you got to start somewhere, right? He's balancing out. Like, I just talked to his mom a couple weeks ago. He's like, Genita, it's like talking to Nora. It's like talking to the old Scotty.
So my husband has mitral valve prolapse. So does his brother, so does his sister, so did his mother. Mitral valve prolapse causes overactive adrenaline. Like you said, when they get excited, their adrenaline goes up.
Mm-hmm.
He never went schizophrenic or anything like that. It's just that he called it being out of his body. He just got dizzy, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. And they put him on something that lowers his adrenaline thing. It's like So
to
you
keep the
think
vitamin,
that
I would
niacin
give
and
the
the-
vitamin C and the niacin around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close just for the video.